Hey, Alex.
Hey,
How's it going, man?
it's good. Just tired working.
Yeah, me too. Boring Thursday here. Oh, I did read something. Res Infinite's coming to the PSVR 2. I can't believe it, Alex. I can't believe it's a dream come true. I cannot believe it. Dude, the roast beef Arby's man. Coming. It's right here. He's coming with eye tracking, with haptic feedback, with better visuals. I thought it was over. Rez brought me into this world. He's bringing me back, baby. I can't believe it. Alex, here's the thing. You have a better, I don't know what you want to call it, perception for these type of things. I didn't see this coming at all. Did you have any indication? Did you think there was any way that Res Infinite was going to be upgraded and ported to the PSVR 2?
I First of all, let me catch my breath. I'm so excited. I'm out of breath with this news. Thank you, Adam, for delivering this to me and our listeners immediately. Adam, I saw a post a little bit ago from Tetsuya Mizuguchi in an interview saying, "Yeah, of course we'd like to see, what possibilities we can do to bring games to PSVR 2." Some of that boilerplate stuff that doesn't really reveal anything, and I just threw it in the trash thinking, Mizuguchi, you're just such a kidder. You're getting my hopes up for nothing. Tetsuya Mizuguchi reached out, and Tetsuya Mizu touched me in the Gucci. This was just, oh, I can't believe it. It was a launch. It's a launch that I was already over the moon for. And now Rez is here again. Rez, it's the hallmark of the greatest consoles of all time. And it's here for us on PSVR 2. I can't. Eye tracking, Adam? 4K visuals? Haptic feedback? What am I going to do with that little USB vibrator that I got from Japan that works with Rez? I don't need it anymore. I can sit on my VR headset and get all the action.
Well, you can also put that one on your butt and just have that.
Could.
Yeah,
Just
you're a
plug it
butt pumper.
USB into a power brick so it's constantly just.
Yes. Here's the thing, Alex. Tonight, everyone around town, they're calling me Mr. Cream because cash rules everything around me. I've got $17 in my wallet and I've got desire in my heart. Cuck Cerny, you have brought enjoyment to this life. This is the happiest I've been in so long. And the thing is, this $17 could be yours, Cuck, if you just give me the headset now. It's already being manufactured. It's done. Just give it to me so I can enjoy my life. I need Rez now. Alex, is there any way? In my mind, this has to be the very first game I play on the PSVR 2. It was the first one I played on the PSVR. I'm almost certain of it. So is there any way another game could trump or should get cut in front of Rez when I get my headset?
Nothing means VR to me the way Rez means VR to me. And if I want to know how good a headset is, I need to play Rez on it to see how it stacks up, right? Not only is it the baseline for how good VR should be, it's also the zenith for how good VR could be. And so what we're going to see is right out of the gate, I want to put that on. I want to calibrate my senses for the greatest VR experience that's ever going to happen to me right away so that I can, be properly enamored and in my senses for all the other games we're going to play that are going to be appropriately awesome. But Rez is just it sets the bar, it sets it high. Good luck to everybody else there at launch. I didn't know what I was going to play at launch. I was waffling, maybe I'll try some games and build up to Resident Evil 8 or something like that. Maybe I'll jump into Resident Evil 8 because I just want to play it really badly. Maybe Gran Turismo so I can feel like I'm driving a car or something. But no, obviously, Rez. I can't wait to feel Rez squeezing my head. I can't wait to feel Rez tickling the palms of my hands. I can't wait to make eye contact with Rez and have Rez mess with my eyeballs. I need every ounce of this, and they're giving me every ounce of that in my favorite game of all time. This is otherworldly. I don't need the rest of the launch lineup. I would pay for the PSVR 2 alone just for Rez. Like that's the price of admission for the greatest Rez experience I could get. And they're doing it right at launch. It's absurd. They didn't have to. They did. We thank you for it. We thank you for giving us the greatest gift we could ever have, and we didn't even have to ask you for it. Thank you.
And what you just said reminds me of there's a song, and I remember my mom played it on repeat for like an hour and a half on the way back from someplace in West Virginia. So it's ingrained in my mind. Something about walking in Memphis. I feel the way I feel. Well, Rez feels the way I feel, man. And dude, I just I have to go back and I have to say Supermassive Games, I'm sorry. I've been saying I'm gonna play Switchback first. It's gonna be the first thing I play. I'm saying they made me a liar. Mitsugushi made me a liar.
And you're thankful for it. You're thankful to be made a liar. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm gonna fly to Japan and be like, you stole my honor, but thank you. And I don't know what he'll say to that, but
and you'll probably bow and he'll just nod approvingly.
Or drop his pants. You never know. But here's the thing about Rez Infinite. If you haven't heard, it, of course, is now coming to PSVR 2. And the things I'm excited for, the fact that you use eye tracking to lock onto the enemies, which again, Alex, we talked about how I think the eye tracking is going to be huge. And this is the perfect implementation for this, I think. Right?
Is it confirmed? Is it confirmed that you're using your eyes to lock onto things?
It said weaponize. Let me read it. That's how I took it. That is how I took it. And when in the announcement on Twitter, they had the little Arby's roast beef man locking on the things. So I don't know why they would say eye tracking and then show a video of it locking on the stuff.
Just shake my head right now, baby.
And then, of course, we're going to get the enhanced visuals. We're going to end up getting the haptic feedback, which I think could be cool. You know, a lot of Rez is like that pumping, that what they call it, synesthesia or whatever the heck.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a great game to use some of those technologies on. One, again, I didn't think they were actually going to pull the trigger, but dang it, I'm glad they did. So it said, weaponize your eyes to track/aim at enemies. Eye tracking.
Bam. All right. Guess what? I'm sold.
And it's okay. So here's the only potential negative here, Alex. Now, no, everyone who is listening, Rez Infinite is a free game if you have PlayStation Plus. It's on there. You can get it for free. This update will cost $10. What say you? Clearly, we're going to buy it either way. But for someone who maybe doesn't understand the meaning of Rez, who are just so spiritually and mentally and emotionally inept, what do you think they may think? Are these things worth the extra $10? You think they're being cheap? What do you think about the fact they're going to charge us?
I'll give you the Alex answer and the non-Alex answer. The non-Alex answer is that it cost them development, right? They have to get this VR2 development kit to make VR2 stuff. That's going to cost money. They're going to have to spend time building out the features, porting the game over, making sure the visuals are enhanced, making sure it's not broken. We see it time and time again. A game gets enhanced for a new console and it's busted. So that is definitely work. They deserve to be compensated for that. Because everybody has had their chance to get Rez Infinite for under $5 or whatever. Just basically giving it away for the past, I don't know, 4 years, 5 years, something like that. It makes sense that they need to pony up and get some of that money back. It also makes sense that $10 is not an expensive thing to ask. It's not an expensive price to pay to have this game as part of your PSVR 2 library. Now, the Alex answer is, how much would you pay to go and find out if you're a human or if you're just a pile of garbage that can't understand the value of art? How much is it worth? Yeah, but what's that worth to you? I would love it if I could just walk into a clinic somewhere, pay $10 to some psychiatrist, and he could say, "Oh, Alex, we just ran some tests. Turns out you're a pile of garbage." Then at least I would know. Rez Infinite will be that for you. You pay the $10. If you don't like it, guess what? You're a pile of garbage. You need to be flushed down the toilet. It's just...
Hey, that's a great... So what I plan on doing, Alex, piggybacking off what you just said, is, I'm a bachelor. I'm out there. I'm taking applications to these women. I'm going to set up a booth, and they're going to play at one of the shorter yet, probably Area 3. I'm going to have them play Area 3. Depending on their reaction, I'm either going to tell them, get the F out, or, okay.
Or get the F in.
Get the F in. Rez Infinite is going to find me a wife. That, I think, is exciting.
And also, if nobody shows up, you can just marry the game.
Yeah, there's a chick at the end. There's two chicks. I
Hmm.
mean,
And now you're going to be able to feel them. It's just it keeps getting better. It keeps getting better.
okay. So before we hop into the other games that have been announced, because we've got a lot to talk about. By the way, this is an emergency podcast, folks. This is an emergency because obviously Rez and we just lost our mind. I couldn't focus at work at all
Yeah.
because this news dropped sometime late morning, and I couldn't. I was done, cooked because I
Yeah.
just couldn't. I couldn't
You,
stop.
I was in the middle of a meeting. You sent me like 3 blasts on the text messages. OMG, OMG, OMG. And I thought like you were dying or something like that. Or maybe Half-Life Alex was announced. It was so unimaginable to me that did not register with me that this could be a possibility. And I think you weren't alarmed enough. I think you were reserved, maybe. I appreciate that so that I could encounter the news myself.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just otherworldly. It's
Also, no, after I did that, he thought I maybe died, and it took him like 2 hours to respond. So that's nice. Thanks,
work comes
Alex.
first when it comes to you, Adam. Yeah.
Of course. So, real quickly, hopping into our gamer juice. I have this thing. It's called a Twinnings London Cold Infused. It's like tea, but meant for cold water. I had one before that was a different flavor. It was horrible. Tonight, I'm trying watermelon and mint. And the thing is, it kind of tastes like really, really watered down Kool-Aid with a bit of hint leaves in it. I mean, it's not the worst thing, but it's not great. But it's better than drinking soda or energy drinks. Where are you sucking down coffee?
Well, I just finished a Red Bull because I got to stay hype. I need the energy for this. But I went to the candy store and they have those novelty drinks. This is toxic waste.
Oh dang! Is it
Toxic
green apple?
waste sour soda. It says green apple. Thank God. I thought it was actually going to be novelty flavored like toxic waste, and I was going to have to chug that down because I finish everything I start, including video games.
Bull crap, dude. That I'm actually jealous. That is a good gamer juice.
Oh, that's a lot of sugar. I should have put it in the fridge. I've had it for about 3 or 4 days. I mean, okay. Oh, it does taste like toxic. All right. I mean, we'll drink it. It starts off great and finishes bad, but
like
that's a gamer juice for you.
that's it. Okay, so similarly, Enhance dropped. Also, Tetris Effect is getting a PSVR 2 upgrade. It's interesting they dropped with that news first, and everyone was like, "Meh," because Tetris Effect effing sucks. And then they dropped the big news with Rez. So they were like, yeah, have you ever like flicked the nipple and like not much happens, but then eventually the floodgates open and then you got milk or something? I don't know if you're pregnant. Anyhow, that is what happened with Enhance. They started with Tetris Effect. And this, I will admit, is pretty cool. Again, it is also $10. You blink for 2 seconds to go into the zone.
I love that.
That is an intriguing feature, but dude, when you're playing Tetris, especially when you're on the high levels or some of the difficult bosses or things of that nature, I guess you don't use the zone in the boss, but you don't have time to close your eyes for 2 seconds. You legitimately don't. You can't do that. I feel like that is a horrible decision.
Here's what's awesome about it. It provides a risk reward to the going into the zone thing. So you have to make sure that you're okay closing your eyes for 2 seconds. That's one thing. The other cool thing is imagine this, Adam. Here's how it's going to work, I bet. Is you're going to be playing, you're going to close your eyes, and it's like that right there. 2 seconds is long enough to enter that like meditative state. And then you're going to feel the haptics in your head letting you know you've hit the zone. And then you open your eyes. And it's a totally different visual. You're in VR. So you close your eyes. It's normal Tetris connected. You close your eyes, 2 seconds, shake open, you're in the zone suddenly. That's such an awesome effect.
Okay, I'll give you that. That is actually cool because the whole graphics and everything's changed, right? For the zone. Okay. I didn't. So when you're not playing it competitively, yes, I actually now agree that is friggin' awesome.
Yeah. And I'm not here. I don't even think Tetris Effect was meant to be like a competitive Tetris, right? If you're playing online multiplayer, you're probably not doing the zone too much. It's probably one of those things like honor system. You shouldn't be zoning. The other thing I'll note about Tetris Effect is this is not just PSVR 2, it's PS5 enhancements too. So like the DualSense, it's going to have those fun little haptics in the DualSense. It says you feel the Tetraminos move, so you'll feel little ticks as you move them around in the palm. That's an incredible element to add to this. just if you don't have PSVR 2, you're going to enjoy the new enhanced visuals of the PS5 in a way you haven't before. So there's a lot being brought into it. The fact that it's on PSVR 2 just kicks it up a notch. So I enjoyed Tetris Effect. I didn't think it was as good as Rez, but I'll pay $10 to just have another go at it and feel that awesome experience of going into the zone a couple times.
It's a multiplayer game. We can play together. We've got that zone, as we just mentioned. They say you can feel the Tetraminos move with the enhanced dual sense. So they aren't using the sense controllers. The PSVR 2 controllers are using the actual dual sense, which
Makes
fine.
sense, right? Yeah, that makes we don't. I don't want to have two controllers over here doing my Tetris. I want to have one controller. Yeah.
And then it says you can feel the transitions between the stages, which I think is cool. Also, if you think about Rez, when you go into that warp zone, that's
Yeah.
gonna be wild. Like, my head is gonna be popping off, boy. Anyhow, Tetris I think is cool. Of course, I did buy it on the Steam Deck for $40. I got used to it on the Steam Deck, and now that I'm not gonna be able to play it again on the Steam Deck after experiencing the PSVR 2. I'm gonna be like, this is like playing the Game Boy. So again,
this is hilarious that Adam, you talk so much garbage about Tetris Effect. You played the hell out of it on PSVR 1, played it on PS5, you bought it again on Steam Deck at full price, and now you're about to pay money again to play Tetris Effect more, only so you can talk about how bad of a game it is.
I like literally am keeping Enhance afloat just on me buying Tetris Effect. Yeah, it's well, the thing is now, it'll get very quickly on Steam Deck. I'm now no longer playing that much Tetris because I found out how to get some of the ROMs. So I'm now playing Pokemon Puzzle League. Again, it's not that the Tetris is good, it's that it's just was the only game I had available to play something real quick and enjoyable.
You
Now
don't have
I've
to
got
justify
Pokemon
your love and your love for Tetris Effect.
F you. That's also worth $10. And Alex, here are the other 13 games that are going to be within the launch window, and they were announced today. We've got Before Your Eyes, Kayak Mirage, Pavlov, Puzzling Places, Song and Smoke Rekindled, Synth Riders Remastered, Thumper, NFL Pro Era, What the Bat, Rez Tetris, Creed Rise of Glory Champion Edition, and The Last Clockwinder. So before we go into any of these games really in detail, which one, I guess, aside from Rez and Tetris, we already talked about those, which one of those surprised you the most?
Surprised me the most. Creed Rise of Glory Champion. Surprised. Oh, no. Before Your Eyes surprised me the most. Because that's like an indie darling. It was PC only. I thought maybe if we were lucky we'd see it on PSVR 2 like years down the road. But here it is, a launch title. That was the biggest surprise for me. That was, oh my God, they're doing it. They did it. They secured it. The developer ported it. And I don't care if it has all the fancy stuff. I just want to play this game. I don't want to play it on my computer. Now I can play it in VR. And I feel like this is going to be one for the ages.
I'm going to, for our YouTube, I'm going to put it up there, but I'm also just going to, while we talk, watch the trailer because I don't know this game. I know you were really excited. So is this something that is a week one play for you, day one play? Like, why were you so excited for this?
So it's like this will turn people off on it. It's like a 90 minutes long game. And the premise of the game is you're going through memories of your life. And when you blink, it will transition to the next memory. So the idea is like,
this is the perfect, you're going to cry.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point of the game. It's supposed to be an emotional game. But the idea is like, oh, this is a memory. I really want to hold on to this memory. I really want to think like the first time I fell in love or first time I held my child or something like that. I want to keep my eyes open for this. And then you continually like lose the ability. You physically can't watch this memory any longer. Once you blink, you lose that strength. And then your life is flashing before your eyes. I think it's such a brilliant concept for a game. I did not think they would put it on PSVR 2 just because it's 90 minutes. It's super indie, super niche. This is just thrilling to me that these kind of games are going to be coming out on PSVR 2. And it's the kind of games that you can't, like on PC, it's cool. But anyways, it's mind blowing. I love it.
I mean, I have to admit, I don't know if I'm going to play this, not because of the reason you think. It actually like scares me. The one thing about death that concerns me the most is, sometimes you read that you flash back your life, like when you die, like before you totally lose consciousness or whatever. Like that terrifies me. I don't know why. It's scary, and I could see this game is you're doing that. Like that is terrifying.
It's
Also,
because you're going to have a bunch of memories of you playing Pokemon Puzzle League, and that's a horrible idea. Horrible thing to spend your time
no,
doing.
actually, I'd be scared if it were just me playing freaking Tetris. That would be, no. Well, I hope it is.
You keep blinking, and it's just another Tetris board and another
Oh
Tetris board.
Alex, I am one step closer to hanging a bungee cord off my ceiling and playing Res Infinite in midair. I just thought about it. That is close, dude. I need the sex chair, but
you need the sex chair.
That can't be that hard to get, right?
No, it'll be easy to get hard in there.
How much do you think a sex chair costs? I'm being serious. All
200.
I need.
Wait, like a Chinese knockoff or the real deal?
Something. The cheapest thing I can get that will actually hold me, so I don't feel
you can
like
you can get like some ropes for $40 at Home Depot.
Well, how am I going to rope myself in? Use a harness? This is a discussion for. I legitimately may try to do this. People keep talking about, we're playing Kayak Mirage in a kayak, and I even mentioned that. Okay, cool. But how about play Rez in a sex chair mid-air? Beat that.
I love how it has to be a sex chair for you. It can't be any other form of suspension.
Because I need to be horizontal. I can't wear a harness because you're vertical. It doesn't work. Like Rez doesn't stand vertically. He floats horizontally. So
just listeners, everybody, Adam he didn't think about like getting a chair and holding that up in the air, or even just tying a rope around his belt and going up in the air. He's insisting on a sex chair.
It's the only way to feel like I have support and I'm levitating in midair. Screw you, Alex. So here's the thing, Thumper. I really like the news that this is coming out. I think it was a launch title for PSVR.
It was. It was the highest rated launch title for PSVR because Astro's Playroom didn't get reviewed.
Yeah, and we even remember we've talked about how that was it's so dark and like sinister. Like you feel the darkness in VR. Now PSVR 2, look, we got 4K visuals, 3D audio, Sense controllers, not the DualSense, the actual Sense controllers, which I find interesting, haptic feedback, and you read me their line, and the last, whatever you want to call it, is bruised, battered, and hungry for more. Oh, baby.
Yeah, I can't think of a better, like, this is one of those games, again, I thought for no way would this be ported, because it's a launch title. It's kind of run its course, right? It's been ported to Switch and everything like that. It's even on Stadia. It's just, it's been everywhere, and it's like, they must be done with it. They must be thinking of something else. I'm so happy to see it again. I want to play this game again. This is a perfect reason to play it again. We don't know if we got to pay for the upgrade or not. I have a feeling it's going to be free, but who knows? But yeah, I love that the developers in the tagline mentioned how like you're going to feel that doom, you're going to feel that oppression. That's what I loved about the original game, and if they're going to turn that up with all the haptics and stuff like that, man, this is going to be such a fun game. One thing is I'm not too keen on using the Sense controllers for some of this Twitch action type stuff that would be probably better suited for like a DualSense controller. So unless they do something really cool and clever with the Sense controllers, I'd much rather play this with a DualSense because I feel like they could do the same thing. I'd hate if it was like you have to use motion controls and like flick it to turn, which like that's not going to work.
Yeah, it's too much of a tactile game for that.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea. We even talked a little bit off camera and how when you go into a turn, and if you've played the game, there are many hard turns, and even like when you were using the DualShock, it kind of vibrated a little bit because you took some hard turns. It was almost like bumper cars, right? And you smack into the side of the wall is what it felt like. But when you have the haptics now in your headset and in the controller, that's going to feel really good. And then you're right. I think you're really going to be able to feel the doom. I'm excited. I hope they allow us to use both the Sense controllers or the DualSense, but we don't know yet. Also, another question I have, not just about this game, but the others. So do you think Sony is paying these developers to upgrade these? Or do you think they are reaching out and saying, hey, this is an opportunity to make a little bit more coin, or just get more people to buy the game, let us have the dev kit and upgrade it?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like scratching your back both ways, right? Like the developers aren't going to do it if there's not money in it for them, but Sony's not just going to give them free money. I mean, like Thumper and Rez, these are games that people already own. And so Sony's not going to make that commission that you'd probably expect, but it is going to get people to buy headsets because this launch lineup is so healthy, right? There's something in there for everybody now. Sony has been known to finance the development of some games, like No Man's Sky. They paid a lot of money for that. They paid to get Resident Evil ported to PSVR 1. They probably did the same for Resident Evil 8. So I'm sure there's like, if they're not just paying for the development or the porting outright, they're probably like easing up on like, hey, you get a dev kit if you port this, and guess what? Now you can make more games for PSVR 2, and like this deal is good now. So I'm sure there's some kind of like quid pro quo happening. I just don't think it's outright Sony saying, "Hey, here's a bunch of money, make this game for us, and then keep the rest." Um, but I'm glad it's happening. It's such a great move on their part, and the developers are probably super keen to just port something over to another console that is probably easy to port from PSVR one. That's what this gives me hope for, is that maybe it's easier to port from PSVR one to PSVR two than previously thought.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the games that have done it. Do you think this is maybe a play from PlayStation to convince people to spend the money? Like maybe they thought that, oh, people may be on edge of spending that much money and investing that much in this new VR. But if we just have a freaking killer lineup and there's tons of games, that is going to convince them? Or do you think they were going to probably do this either way? And it's just, we want fans to be happy. We want to have a good library, and that's the plan.
I mean, I think these wheels were set in motion a long time ago, but Sony knows that a console launch needs to be strong. Like they experienced with the Vita, they didn't really support it the way they should have. This is showing that they're supporting it not just with their own in-house stuff, but with extra developers outside. And the buzz around PSVR 2, even when it was first announced, was like, oh, there's like, I think there's an infamous Reddit post now, like there's only 6 games for it. There's like 35 games or something like that.
Yeah, 37.
So
That's
so
been
this shows
announced. Yeah.
this shows that Sony, like, they're ready to kick ass with this system, with this headset, in a way that they apparently weren't for PSVR one. PSVR one had a great launch, but this is just above and beyond anything I had expected. I was ready to go with Resident Evil 8 and get like Gran Turismo 7. I'd be good for the next year probably. But this is just, I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, it honestly, I think this is better than the PS5. I remember when I
Oh
bought the
yeah.
PS5, I struggled with like what games do I actually want to play? And now here, I mean, again, I know maybe we're a little biased because PSVR, but dang, I don't even know where to begin. I don't know how much time. I think you mentioned it, that even if they don't do anything for the rest of the year, we got our games, right? To play through all these, especially if the new technology is going to change the way that you experience a game as much as we think it may, to where that, okay, maybe I don't love Tetris Effect, but that those enhancements change it enough that I want to play through all of it again. And you do that for all of these games, Creed and Thumper and all of these. Like, you're going to have a lot to play, even if nothing else is announced or comes out. But I do want to keep moving forward. How about, I didn't know of Pavlov, but how about you tell me and maybe any of the other listeners who don't know why this game, like, it's well known, why, and where did it come from?
So Pavlov's kind of a big deal in like the PC VR space, because this was like the Counter Strike clone, or the Rainbow Six clone. Really, it was kind of what Firewall was probably going for in some of this, like, squad based military esque first person shooter stuff. Um, there were rumors it was coming to PSVR, but everybody thought it was going to be like the Quest 2 version of Pavlov, which is like a not as good version. But nope, it's Pavlov, and it's coming out for PSVR 2, and it looks phenomenal. Honestly, we had these other games that look very similar coming out, and I'm kind of worried. Like, these guys, Pavlov's coming out. What are you going to do? Like, Alvo was a good military shooter, like multiplayer combat shooter for PSVR one. But even by the name, you can tell, like, were they just trying to like fill that Pavlov void? Well, now Pavlov's here, so I'm excited about it. I've heard so many good things about it. I'm pleased it's going to be on the PSVR 2. I'm pleased we don't have to wait for Firewall Ultra to get one of these things out. I'm pleased I don't have to run the risk of playing Crossfire or whatever it was called, that may or may not be cool. This is one that we know is going to be good, and it's going to be on PSVR 2 at launch. That's so great. This is another multiplayer game we'll be able to play, Adam, and we'll have fun with it. We'll get our butts kicked. We'll complain about it, but at least we're not going to be waiting in the lobby for 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like Firewall never failed in my eyes, or I didn't not enjoy Firewall. I'm butchering the words here because the actual gameplay was bad. Like, it was fine. The issues were always like the execution and the slowness and sitting in the lobby. No, I don't know, Pavlov. If you don't have to do that and it keeps the Firewall like execution of gameplay, which honestly, when I looked at the trailer, I told you, I was like, this looks exactly like Firewall. Maybe slightly little difference. Like, sometimes instead of just finding a mine, you now have to defuse a bomb. Like, big deal. Very small differences. It looks just like it. So do you think this hurts Firewall? Because Pavlov is first. You could argue that maybe it's more well-known, but maybe not in the PSVR community, but overall. But if we start playing Pavlov and we like it, are we really going to then buy Firewall if it's already filled the void?
Well, I mean, First Contact is part of the Sony family now, right? So I have a feeling Sony knows what they're doing. Hopefully they're pushing Firewall to have more than just what the first one had. So I don't think it hurts it. I think it puts a fire under their butt, and it makes sure that whatever they're going to release is, they're going to try to make it better, right? They gotta up the ante. They don't want to just be a Pavlov clone. They don't want to be a Pavlov-like. They got to do something better. So hopefully it's better. I mean, this is something Sony's going to be pushing really hard with Firewall. So we can play the cool version that already exists with Pavlov, and then hopefully when Firewall comes out, it's like, oh yeah, they did all this extra cool stuff and it's way better. I would love that. But I mean, one or the other is going to be the better one, and we'll just play that. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, my concern is that we're going to have Firewall. We now have Pavlov. We also have, I'm probably going to mess up the name here, but something like, what was it? Crossfire Sierra Squad or something like that. These look like the same. And three games that serve the same crowd that look very similar. I know they're going to operate slightly different. Execution is going to be different. That concerns me. Like, even if you talk about racing games, okay, they're all racing, but they can add something to make them unique more than these three are making themselves look unique compared to each other.
Well, I mean, think about like the biggest franchises out there now. You got Battlefield, you have Call of Duty, you have, Medal of Honor used to be big, not so big now, but these military shooters, deathmatch, team-based shooters, squad shooters, whatever have you, there's market for it. This captures those, kind of casual gamers that they're just going to play Call of Duty when it comes out, and that's it. This is providing a market for that, and one of these will probably stick and land and have a real serious audience behind it. So it's probably going to get people to buy PSVR 2 to play this kind of game. And these people are competitive. They're going to want to play. They're going to want to be the best at some version of a military shooter. So now they have their option. They can get on the ground floor, become the best Pavlov player, and hopefully make a career out of that. But I'm happy that we'll get to see which one is the best. We'll get to try them out, and one of these is bound to be excellent, and we'll have a good time.
Yeah, this is where I really wish we had the aim controller. I would have to think, though, at some point, they're going to come out with another aim controller, right?
I mean, I don't know the need, but what would be wise of Sony to do is to make like an officially designed like stock that you can put these controllers in and use. I mean, they did that with PS3. It's really cool that like I forget what the gun was called, the Striker or something like that. They had the aim controller, and people are 3D printing these stocks that look pretty cool, and they keep the controllers in line with each other so it doesn't feel wonky like trying to do a two-handed thing while you're moving around like that. So it'd be smart if they did that, but they don't really have to. I mean, you use pistols and stuff in this game too, so there's options there.
I mean, yeah, you don't have to. My aim controller was so good, but Alex, we still have a puzzling places, and we've already kind of talked about Before Your Eyes, but any other things you want to mention about it? Creed, Gran Turismo. We've got stuff coming up in the second segment. It's going to be a shorter one. This is an emergency podcast. We're staying up late for you, the people, and for us. I love you, Rez. We'll be back.
welcome back to part 2, episode 104, the emergency broadcast of Play PSVR 2, the podcast, dropping the big news on you, discussing the big hits that are coming out. A lot of games announced for launch, a lot of updates and stuff that we're describing. We already described Rez to you ad nauseum. Let's go ahead and touch through some of the other games. Adam.
Yeah, you know, I'm not even done. Well, I've got two things. First of all, this gamer juice, although it may not taste the greatest, number one, it smells incredible. Like unreal. It smells so good. Like it smells like a candle. It smells like Jello. You know the Jello when it starts to solidify or jellify, and you smell it all through the kitchen. That's what this smells like. Also, when you run out of liquid, it's like tea, so it becomes really concentrated. So it doesn't taste like tainted Kool-Aid anymore. Now it just tastes like bad watermelon. 2, I also forgot to mention, with many of these games, including Tetris, including Rez, the transfer, the save files will transfer to the PSVR 2 versions. You'd probably assume that, but that's not always the assumption. My question to you, Alex, is for Rez Infinite. Do I wipe it across? Do I delete everything totally out of existence on my account and then re-platinum it? Or should I just keep the platinum and transfer the save and play it all the way through?
I think you got to take it a step further. You have to wipe out the saves, then you have to climb into your sex chair, then fall out of the sex chair, hit your head, give yourself a bit of amnesia, and then experience it all anew.
Amnesia, synesthesia, or whatever.
Synesthesia. There we go. Yeah.
I hate this. That's why I have it here.
Synesthesia.
I hate this. I'm not saying it. Talk about the next game.
All right, the next game we're going to talk about is Puzzling Places. This is a game Adam has poo-pooed, but now he's turned around on it since it was announced for PSVR 2. This is a game, so I think this is what sold you on it, Adam, is they're mentioning room scale. So you're doing 3D puzzles, like a puzzle of like the Colosseum, the Roman Colosseum. That's pretty cool. And you put the pieces together, bam, you have a nice 3D environment of the Roman Colosseum. It's got to be satisfying, got to be relaxing. I think puzzles have been clinically proven to lower your blood pressure. It's something that I'm kind of interested in. I don't know. I don't like these very static situations, but this game seems to have a following, and there's people that are really behind it. So, I mean, on PSVR 2, I'm much more likely to give it a shot. There's been tons of, DLC they've released for it. But Adam, what specifically turns you around on it?
Well, first of all, it's turned me on. And first, higher fidelity. So obviously everything's going to look better. Higher resolution. Eye tracking for the puzzle selection. Again, I love eye tracking. Rather than having to use the move controllers or even just the normal controller and like move a cursor over to the piece you want, highlight it, select it, just bam, like an owl. I'm just going to move my head around. Boom, look at my piece. I got it. I'm going to try to fit it in. Oh, it doesn't fit, but I'm good at fitting things in small places, so I force it in, and then it works great. I like puzzles. The 3D puzzle I'm a really big fan of. I'm not really sure how they're going to use the haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, but I'm glad to find out. And then you're right. This is the one game out of these 13 that specifically say, yo, I'm using the room scale. That I think is intriguing. Like, just to be able to walk around my room, I'm going to move my couch back. I'm going to have a big area, and I'm going to walk around, probably slip on my controller or the cord because there's an effing cord in there, but it's going to be okay. I still love it. I forgive you, Cuck, Cerny.
I do like the idea of using your eyes to select the piece. That's one thing that sucks in VR, even with good tracking controllers, is that, like, are you talking about this one? Are you talking about that one? You have that, like, infinity pointer that can be touching anything. If you're able to look at the piece and hit the button to grab it, that's cool. Haptic feedback will be nice. There's got to be like a nice like that happens when you put the piece down. That's going to feel really good. So I'm interested. You have here written includes a PSVR 2 1,000 piece puzzle.
Yep.
Do you think that's a PSVR 2 headset?
I don't know.
That'd be pretty cool, right? To like build a headset.
1,000 pieces. Like, the thing is, I like this, but there's got to be a point at which it's like, okay, it's too much. 1,000 piece puzzle in real life takes a long time, hours. I'm not about to spend 6 hours in virtual reality putting a puzzle together, you
What if
know?
it like massaged your head while you were doing it? Like there was a therapeutic like that just felt good while you did the puzzles or something, just help you relax. I could see a use case. I'm not going to stay in there for hours doing it, but I think some people are good at puzzles, or maybe you're going to be really fast at a puzzle if you can look at the pieces and snap it right in without having to do too much finagling.
Could be.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think it's intriguing. I like how again they've enhanced this. They're adding this new puzzle. Something that I am now willing to roll the dice on and watch. It probably won't go on sale again. I'm going to pay full price.
mhm.
Welcome to my life.
Yeah, anybody who has it gets a free upgrade. That's something we should highlight. So when Adam told you not to buy it in the last sales segment, he was lying to you. You should have bought it because it was going to get a PSVR 2
I'm
upgrade.
sorry. I didn't know.
You're not sorry. Next game on the list, Before Your Eyes. We talked about this a little bit. I will just give you, if you're kind of interested in this idea, Jacob Geller, I think his name is, and that's his channel on YouTube, did an awesome video. That's kind of like a review of this. I don't think this too spoilery, but I don't think it's a game you really can spoil. So that got me hyped about the game initially. So watch that if you want to get hyped. We'll skip over that, and we're going to talk about Creed. Adam, did you ever play Creed?
No,
I feel
no,
like you tried it once, didn't you?
no. I never played Creed. And
So
yeah.
I mean, like Creed's a really good boxing game, and Servios did well with like getting your punching and your fighter's fatigue, and you have like these ghost hands, so your hands turn into ghost hands if you're tired, so your punches don't have the speed they would if you didn't have your stamina. That's a cool mechanic. The downside of Creed was that it totally removed any of the strategy in boxing and moving around the ring because you didn't have analog sticks in the move controller, so you had to do this rinky-dink way of like moving across the ring by going like this or something like that. So basically, all fights turned into a slugfest and you're trying to trick the PSVR camera to move your head around. Now that we have good tracking and good locomotion, Creed's going to be a lot more fun. But the big thing here is that they've enhanced the multiplayer. They've got better matchmaking. They've added stuff for single player. So that's really fun and cool. And there's like new characters and whatnot. But it's got crossplay. So I can beat the brakes off of those kids in their Quest 2. When that 13-year-old boy challenges me at 5:30 a.m., I'm going to destroy him. And what's going to suck even worse is when he comes back and haymakers me, I'm going to feel the punch right in my noggin with those haptics going. It's going to be awful. I'm going to get a concussion in real life from the PSVR 2, and it's going to be a 12-year-old boy doing it. I can't wait.
Don't assume his gender, by the way. Second of all, will this have room scale?
Oh, I didn't check to see if it. I mean, it has to, right? I want to be
You
able to
would
move
think, and
around.
that's
Yeah.
like that. I feel like that. I guess it depends. If you're good and you know how to box like you do, I feel like you would be at the great advantage, right? Because it's easier to actually physically move than to think about it, figure it out on the controls how to do it, and then like it's more natural doing it in person. And that makes this game something that I very well may buy because of that. Like that
Yeah.
is friggin' neat. My only concern is that you're gonna sweat like a freaking mother trucker, aren't you? And I don't love the idea of just being drenched in sweat with my headset on, but it may be worth it, right?
I wear like a bandana or something whenever I'm gonna sweat in VR a lot, and that helps out a lot. But I didn't think about that, Adam. Room scale. So now it really can accurately track me moving my head, which is a big component. And then, taking one step back to get out of the range of the fighter. So I'm hoping the punch registration takes that into account a little bit. That would be great. I foresee a lot of accidents happening now that you might be kind of encouraged to walk around a bit. And probably the best players are going to be moving with the analog stick so they don't just get wiped out on their, in real life as opposed to in the game. But
You're gonna
this
see
is
someone fall down because they tripped on like a shoe, and you're gonna be down on them UFC style, just beating their face in on the game.
That is interesting. I wonder if you fell down in real life, if they would consider that a knockdown in the game. Like if your headset got below a
Oh,
certain level, if they're like, that's a knockdown. Sorry. That probably not,
oh,
but that would be hilarious.
dude, that would be funny if it just turned into UFC. Like, I guess it couldn't though, because in real life you're not actually gonna fall unless it's on accident. So I guess
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
No, but this very much intrigues me. I'm probably gonna let you play it first. Let me know how it is. Give your Power A stamp of approval, and then that's when I would maybe hop in. Again, a game that's been on sale. Guess who hasn't bought it? This guy right here. and now it's not going to be on sale again.
I have a strong hunch it's not going to be a free upgrade. They kept talking about all the new content, which makes me think you're going to have to buy it again. They already tried this once. It's like Creed Champions version, or like not Championship Edition, Creed Legends or something like that I didn't purchase. So I think you're probably gonna have to pay just 20-30 bucks. It's kind of a movie tie-in too. They're trying to cash in on Creed 3 coming out, whatever. I'll pay full price for it. Like I wanna play Creed without the hampered PSVR 1
It would make
controls.
it so much more fun, right? Like that's the thing. It just adds so much enjoyment. What used to be like a meh experience. I'm even thinking of Knockout League. Like I thought it was stupid. I hated it. But if I could move around and it was room scale, that now has the potential to be fun. And
the head haptics, like I hope they have head haptics, because that's the issue with like Creed and stuff, is you don't feel the hit, because you get hit, you don't know if you're getting hit sometimes because you're so just like stuff's going on. You don't know if these punches are registering in your head. You don't know if the punches you're throwing are registering. If they can make that happen with the like special haptics they have in the controllers and the headset, so you know when you're getting hit and you know when you hit, that's going to make this like exactly what I want in a boxing game. So I'm thrilled. It's going to be awesome.
I can't think of this is the game that needs to do it. It's realistic. It's probably the physics is much better than any of the others that are on the system. This is a game you wanted to be upgraded. It is going to be upgraded. I'm certain it's going to have the haptics, right? It's got to have it. It's got to have the room scale. This is probably the preemptive, the boxing game for PlayStation Virtual Reality. I'm excited to hear your what you think about it. Well, how is this like a week one play? You're going to play probably not day one, right? Because you really got to get into it, I feel like, for this. But I know you love boxing. How long will it be until you unbox, pun intended, this game?
Here's the thing. If I'm going to play it, I'm going to wipe myself out, and I'm not going to want to play VR for a little while. I'm going to be tired. We're going to have so many of these games to get through. I want to play it day one. I just don't know if I have the physical stamina to play this game and then go on to play something else. Maybe if I play this and then play Puzzling Places for a couple hours to recoup my energy, then that might work. But
or play it last.
I mean, playing it last, maybe it'll be the last game I'll play for a day, but I might be tired from playing VR just in general. Like it can be exhausting at times. You know, you're just standing up and walking around and moving around a whole lot. But I want to play it as soon as I can. But there's bigger fish to fry.
I know I'm not going to do it, but there's a joke about you and your wife and you being too tired to, do husband and wife things. I'm not going to get into it, Alex. You know what I'm trying to say.
Sex. Just say sex, Adam. Yeah.
I hope it happens. And then she's like, you know what? You can play it yourself. I'm going to put puzzles together. And then she works on the 1,000 piece PSVR 2 headset puzzle.
Great, Adam. Adam, last game on the list. This is like the biggest one. And we got the announcement, right, with that Gran Turismo 7 was coming out. They announced it at CES. We're all pumped, but there were lingering questions, right? They said it was coming to PSVR 2. We assumed it was going to be the full game, but this was confirmation today that it will be the full game. And not only is it the full game, it's full game plus multiplayer. So there will be online multiplayer. You and I will be racing in Ferraris next to each other. It's not going to be hampered, and we're going to get that full experience. Maybe we'll have benefit against these flat screen players. This is the system seller for Gran Turismo 7, or for PSVR 2, I think. This has everything you need in a very good racing game, and they're putting it in the best racing game. Now the best racing game made has been put in VR. It's just, I don't know. It does the whole thing. I think the one thing they said you won't be able to do is split screen multiplayer. Who gives a crap? It's phenomenal that they pulled it off. It's phenomenal we'll get to experience it. It's phenomenal they have like 500 cars you can be in, and we can race against each other. It'll be our Wipeout replacement until Wipeout Omega Collection PSVR 2 edition comes out, because apparently they're just porting everything over to PSVR 2. Since there is multiplayer, Adam, will you buy this game?
The thing is, once I knew it was the full game, I was going to buy it, I think, either way. We talked about how this is an incredible game for people to come in who haven't played VR. You have friends, you got family, and you don't want to put them in Resident Evil. You don't want to put them in a whole level. Actually, I would, and I have put them in a whole level of Rez. But you want to put them in something that's a relatively quick experience, something that's going to wow them. This is going to wow them. It is going to look like you're in a Ferrari. You're going to feel, maybe not necessarily like you're in a Ferrari, but you're going to feel like you're racing. It even when Wipeout hopefully gets ported and moves over to PSVR 2, I can't imagine something being better than this. It's realistic, tons of tracks, tons of cars. It's got multiplayer. I don't know what something else could do to make me want to play that over this game. So it's probably going to be a day one play for me, to be honest.
Right. You just have to do it. You just have to see what it's like to sit in these cars, right? Like you have to see how it's going to feel to realistically drive around in this game. I mean, think about this: the haptic, like gas and brake and stuff like that with the DualSense controller. That's something you'll feel the gas pedal go down as you pull the trigger.
When you like drift and your car starts to like lose a little traction, boom, you're gonna feel. I'm assuming again, you're gonna feel like a boom, 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 like you feel that going in like that donut type of feeling.
Or if you catch air and the adaptive triggers let go and it like slips because there's nothing to get traction on, like stuff like that.
Dope. Yeah. And this is interesting because a lot of my close friends, the ones that like gaming, they don't have VR. They're not interested in playing it, but for one of them, this has him like, oh, and then he knows someone who has like a whole freaking racing rig. And the dude bought a PS5. He bought a PSVR, or I guess, of course, pre-ordered the PSVR 2 for this game. So, I mean, they're serious enough that they just dropped, over $1,000 just for this one game. And that, I think, is what's intriguing. Do you really think that this is going to truly be the system seller? Like, I guess it's a stupid question because I just said I know someone who did it. But like, will people drop that much money just to play this one game? Like, it seems ludicrous to me.
Here's the market that they're catering to at this is that you have these people who, like you said, they buy a whole like frame setup. I think we had somebody on, I forget his name.
Yeah, JD Max.
JD Max, thank you so much. Sorry, JD Max, who had like a sim racing system. They'll drop the money on the chair and they'll pay $300, $400, $500 for a force feedback controller and gas pedals. They'll get gear shifters for it. They'll pay ungodly amounts of money to get like 4 monitors set up to simulate a VR experience. Now you have this VR headset that has these 2 displays on your eye that are better than most TVs you could buy. It's going to have the haptics. You don't need all that stuff. It's like, if they're willing to pay all that money for something that's not VR, why would they not pay that money to play the best racing game you can get in VR? It's just a no-brainer. They're going to get that money. And then those people are probably, maybe they won't, maybe they will, just buy some other games that their kids can play or something like that. I don't know. That market is there. They have money. They want to spend it to get the best racing experience. And now they can play online. It's just, the online racing community is going to go nuts for this game.
I cannot imagine what this would feel like if you have a legitimate rig. The only missing piece is, can they use like a steering wheel controller with the PSVR 2?
Yeah, people use it for PS5 already. So, I mean, it just replaces a DualSense. So they get these steering wheels that have like a belt motor in it. So it knows when you're turning and it will put the resistance in the steering wheel as you're turning and stuff like that. Oh my
gosh. Dude, I cannot imagine what, like that right there, you put in a mall and you would be rich. You just have a PSVR 2 and you have that whole rig. I mean, people would pay $20, I bet, to go in there, race some people. Like, that is incredible. I don't have the room for it or the money. I want to do it, but it's okay. You're still working on the prototype so I can play this in my Saturn View, right? To run the PSVR 2 and the PS5.
It was hurting my back, so I'm trying to make it a head-mounted system. So you could put the PSVR on, then you put the PS5 cap on to hold the PS5. It's a work in progress. I'm getting my neck is getting stronger, if you can see. So that's the next step for this evolution.
True. So here's the thing, Alex. We've already talked about it. We're already really happy with the launch games. Now it is just an embarrassment of riches, if I do say so myself. 37 total games at launch. All right. Like, just so many. Is there anything that they can do to complete the launch window for you? Do you think there is anything missing, or these could be separate questions? One, do you think there's actually anything missing? And then two, in your perfect wildest dreams, is there something you would add or you would like to be seen at this point?
Um, I don't think anything's missing. There's something there for everybody, as we said. Half-Life Alex was a rumor. There wasn't much behind it, but it just has stuck around, and it's kind of stupid, easy money, ready for the taking. But really, the one thing I would change about this launch lineup is this is going to sound bad. I wish there was less. I don't have the time. Usually, when a game comes, like a system comes out, there's the games I have to play, there's the games I want to play, and there's the games I'd like to try. This is getting top heavy on games I have to play and getting bottom light on games that I want to try. And I hate that that's happening because as this is out, more games are going to come out for it, and it's just going to add more to the have to play and want to play list. And the kind of want to try, like, there's just too much. I don't have enough time. I can't take more days off work to play that. I can't quit my job to play PSVR unless you guys would just freaking like and subscribe so that I can make this my job. Please.
I haven't done anything to demonetize us yet.
Yeah, he almost said the word sex. So please, just please like and subscribe, share this so that I can quit my job and play these games for you guys. I do it for you. I don't do it because it's fun.
Dude, the thing is, we're in different situations. I've got much more time than you. I am pumped. I'm also hoping that some of these games, one reason we both like PSVR games is because it's filling, but it's also, like I was telling you, I started to play Octopath Traveler. I got like 30 hours in. I just can't do it anymore. The games are too long nowadays. With the exception of Kingdom Hearts, every game that's like 60 to 90 hours, it's too much. A Persona game is like 100 hours. I just can't do it. It's not feasible. These games tend to be more on like, the 1.5 hours to 10 hours. I think that is in a nice sweet spot. I think I'm pumped. The one things I think are missing, and they're missing. Well, really, the only thing that's missing that I think has to be corrected is Astrobot. We need something, like, even if it is like a pack-in title that's almost like a demo type thing, but it's somewhat fleshed out. It's an hour, hour and a half. I'd be okay with that. But they have to have something like that, right? I don't know how you could go through this launch and not include it. That would be one of the biggest oversights I feel like I will have ever seen. I mean, the PS5 had them. That's not even like VR related. And I mean, I know he's a PlayStation guy, not a PSVR guy, but he looks just like, it's clear the PSVR was modeled after him or very closely. Like, you got to add it. The others, we played to the top on this week's Golden Stream. Alex, that's just a good episode.
It's a gem. It's a gem, and the sequel's coming out. I don't know why we haven't heard more about it being on PSVR 2. It's got to be coming. It's got to be.
Dude, it is so good. Like, stupid good. I thoroughly enjoyed myself last night, and I was even with you. Imagine if you weren't there. And then the persistence, again, a game I absolutely love, with the haptics, with the eye tracking, with the adaptive triggers, with the new controllers. If an enemy hits you and you actually felt it, or like, there's so much they could do with the new technology that I think would just put that game over the top. But with Astrobot, going back to that, do you think in some way Astrobot is going to arise in some way for the launch?
Not for the launch. So I think Sony's doing something wise. This is one of the first times that games come out or systems come out where it's like, I don't have the time for all the quality right at launch. And I think other people are probably feeling that way. Like they don't know where to spend their time. If Astrobot came out, it runs a high risk of getting lost in the shuffle, even though it would probably be one of the best games out there. Astrobot's a game that you release as things start to flag, as enthusiasm wanes away. And they did that for PSVR 1, and it worked like a charm. PS5, they did it at launch. It was a free pack-in game. People who didn't have PSVR didn't know how great Astrobot was. But people who have PSVR know Astrobot's a game worth waiting for if they have to. and that will kick the enthusiasm for PSVR 2 back into high gear when we know Astrobot Rescue Mission 2 or whatever it is going to be coming out. So I expect, maybe 6 months down the road, or maybe that's going to be their like Christmas game they release, something like that. But that's a game that will start driving sales again if the sales start to flag. So I would love to have another Astrobot game. That would be a strong competitor for the first game I'd play. But I don't need it. I don't know where I can fit it in my heart and in my hopes for this launch lineup.
Yeah, I still hope it's some little pack-in game just showing you, hey, here's the adaptive triggers. Like, this is what the head haptics feel like. It doesn't have to be long. I feel like they've got to have something. I would be disappointed if they didn't. That's really the only thing I think that is actually missing from this. Can you think of just a launch lineup for anything, a console, a handheld, that was this packed of stuff? Because I've gone admittedly through less launches than you have, but I've never seen something like this where you have so much variety, you have so many games, and again, they're either brand new games, they're heavy hitters, or they're going to dramatically alter a game you've already played to the point where it's going to be worth playing them again.
I mean, let's be honest, right? The reason this launch lineup is so strong is that so many PSVR 1 games are getting ported, and so many PSVR 1 games were hindered by the limitations of PSVR and the PS4. So I can't think of a system that's done as well or been as set up at launch to succeed. The closest we have is probably the PS5, where you're getting all these PS4 games upgraded to PS5, but those changes were all visual. They were all, more or less superficial, right? Like the great games on PS4 can now play better on PS5, but they play better in terms of technology and stability. They don't play better in terms of like, wow, this game feels the way I needed it to feel when I first played it, which is what's happening now that we have these new controllers and these new like advanced haptics that were just outside of the realm of possibility on the previous generation. So I don't like PlayStation 2 didn't have that great of a launch. PS3 didn't have that great of a launch. Nintendo 64 and PS4, even PS5 didn't have that great of a launch. But this is just, it's so much quality stuff. Like I said, I can't get my hopes up because I can't get any higher. I'm done. I've boiled over, and it's just time to get this headset in my house so I can just ignore everything around me and just start burning through this backlog that already exists, and the console's not even out.
Yeah, I can't. Rez just blew the top off it. Like, I can't think of anything else I really actually like want. And nothing's left me like that. And I know it's gonna be great, because the thing is, if they didn't do a thing, if they didn't even touch Rez, like, it's the same exact game, but I just play it on PSVR 2, it's still incredible. I'll still love it.
I'd convince myself to be like, you know what? Wise choice, Mizuguchi, for not touching a damn thing.
Yeah.
Wise choice.
Dude, think about this. You played this on what, the Dreamcast or PS2?
Played it on Dreamcast and PS2. I played it everywhere.
Admit it, you play it all the way in Dreamcast. It just keeps coming up.
And I keep buying it.
Dreamcast, PS2, PS4, PSVR, no PSVR 2. Like, dude, this is insane how many times you've played this in the different arenas and different game systems.
Yeah, and I'm never disappointed. I'm always like, that was a good idea. I'm so glad I did this. Yeah, and I'm going to be so glad this time, too. They're just making it better and better.
It's okay. Last question of the night, because it is getting late. Do you think this is the last push? Is this the last big news you think PlayStation is going to drop before launch?
I hope so. I can't. I've said it. I can't take it. I can't take anymore. I can't. I mean, I would love it if Half-Life Alyx came out, but now it's just like, oh my god! Like, now I gotta figure out a day in my life to burn through that. I already played Half-Life Alyx. It's incredible. I want to play it again on PSVR 2. It's just, there's too much. There's too much, an embarrassment of riches. I don't know. What do you think, Adam? Do you think there's one more trick up their sleeve before we get to launch? We're about a month away.
I honestly feel like there isn't. I really don't know what they could announce that would be worth waiting this long to tell us, right? I mean, it's one thing if there were some huge announcement, but they would want to do that before a month out, right? I would think. I mean, maybe I'm
Yeah.
wrong. And again, we
Because
talk
people
about,
they gotta put in the pre-orders and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and again, we already talked about it. All the like even some of the games you didn't think there was any chance. Like you're within the game community. You know what people enjoy, what games are the third party darlings, like this before your eyes. And what you didn't think was even possible, they've already done for a
Yeah.
launch with Pavlov and Before Your Eyes and all these ports. And now they have Horizon. They fully did Gran Turismo. Unless it were Half-Life Alex or Astrobot, I don't know even what else they could do. I mean, there's still games coming out. There's one game we didn't even talk about it today. We needed to add it to the list. It was something like Colossal Caves.
Colossal Cave. Yeah, that was just announced. Another adventure game like this. There's just more games. More
Yeah.
games. I can't keep
But
track of it.
I mean, I feel like maybe stuff like that might come out, but those aren't like the big things, right? That's kind of just like a developer was like, guess what? We're here too. I mean, they could surprise me, but personally, I think we're probably done. But I'm okay with that. Again, I can't believe we have to wait a little. I'm at this point. I'm just gonna call it a month. We have to wait a whole month for this thing, and it is gonna be a miserable month.
Yeah, that month is getting longer and longer. But yeah, let's close it up, Adam. This is it for the emergency podcast to play PSVR 2, episode 104. Go to your nearest shelter, go to your nearest auntie, go somewhere safe because Sony is coming at you. And we're not going to be around to help you. We're going to be right here recording content. We're not going to be over there helping you out. We're going to be recording podcasts. We're going to be showering YouTube with golden streams as these games come out. So keep the dream alive, and we'll see you next week on Play PSVR 2, the podcast where virtual reality is our reality.